Good morning. It's Andrew with Supercharged Stocks. So today, I'm happy to catch up with Jeff Wilson, who's the president and CEO of Precipitate Gold. And as many of you know, or maybe you need to be reminded, Precipitate Gold is down in the Dominican Republic. They've got great neighbors, and there's been lots of changes down there, possibly a better government attitude building. There was an election in the summer. But we want to talk with Jeff to get a sense of some of the news that came out today in relation to some more of their targets. They narrowed down some targets with Barrick, and also some of the other projects that they're looking at and they're developing and moving forward. So happy to have you here, Jeff. Looking forward to catching up and hearing what's happening down on your projects.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me, and pleasure to be back with you and your viewers. Yeah, so we put out a news release this morning that we're announcing that our earn-in agreement with Barrick, which we announced back in April of this year, whereby Barrick's got a right to earn a 70% interest on our Pueblo Grande project, which is located immediately adjacent to Barrick's Pueblo Viejo mine, which is one of the top 5 mining operations, gold mining operations in the world. So Barrick has been working away since April, getting their ducks in a row, obviously battling through a little bit of the COVID impediments that we were all sort of forced to deal with in the spring and summer. But we announced today that Barrick is commencing mobilizing drill rigs, in fact, 2 drill rigs, to our Pueblo Grande project to commence a first phase of drilling on our ground. They've announced that this is going to be about 3,750 meters of drilling, somewhere between 12 and 15 holes. So quite a few pierce points into a number of different areas within a fairly broad target. And this is encouraging for us, because this is the part of the project that we really saw as the most prospective. This is where we had intended to go in and do our drilling prior to this deal with Barrick being initiated or signed back in the spring. So we're very excited about this, and really quite excited about the fact that they've decided to employ 2 drill rigs at the same time. That just means that this will be an efficient, swift program, which of course for investors means hopefully anyway, drill results sooner rather than later.
What's great too, like you're talking about, the cost of drilling is so much better down in a place like Dominican. So many times we hear about stories that it's a golden triangle or places that are certainly much more dollar heavy. It's great to see that you can get 12 holes done down there. And also, I mean, it's COVID. Yes, it's very difficult, but in places like Dominican that are so heavy into tourism, I think there's a couple of factors. One, it makes them look a little stronger at where the state of mining is. And I think too, because there's such a strong message from management and from teams like yourself for doing things properly with regulation and in an environmentally friendly way, that's making countries that are developing more optimistic about what the future could look for, like for their own resources in their country, and what it can reshape kind of the vision for where their future is going.
Yeah, I mean, I think what a lot of people don't really recognize is just, how important mining is in a country like the Dominican Republic. I mean, we all think of it as a tourism destination, places where you go to the beach. But as I said, Barrick's Pueblo Viejo is one of the largest gold mining operations in the world, and it is the single largest economic driver to the Dominican Republic's economy. So no single entity or business in the Dominican Republic is more important to the economy than Barrick's Pueblo Viejo. And so one of the things that happened through this COVID time that's been very, I think, positive for mining and perhaps the perception or the outlook for mining within the country as well, is Barrick, in light of the economic downturn that COVID has created, Barrick actually contributed advance payments on royalties and taxes of about $108 million to the government as a gesture of good faith to say, look, we want this country to continue to survive and thrive and do well, and we want to be a part of the sort of the turnaround here economically. And so I think that's been a really nice positive gesture by Barrick that I think has put mining in a slightly better light. And, obviously mining is always up against it from a perception standpoint in just about any country in the world. But yeah, this is a place where I think there's been a new government that's come in August. This government has been, talking a lot about being pro-business, pro-foreign investment, and in some cases pro-mining, and talking about some of not only the existing mining operations and how to, continue to see those contribute to the economy, but also to create a platform for additional or growing mining sector. And that, of course, speaks to us because, future mining stems from exploration. For there to be another mine down the road, somebody's got to be out doing the exploration work to find it. And
someone like yourself and companies like Precipitate Gold are needed. They're kind of like the research and development arm for companies to get out and explore and find new, raise up properties, find new developments. And on top of that, though, it gives an opportunity now for the new management with this gesture from Barrick, but this whole new kind of push to do things properly. That if you as an exploration team do things appropriately and with high standards, you're working well with the people, that just continues a message that, listen, mining is open to change. It's open to this new world, this new economy, and working together. And I think we've really got a great period of time right now where we can change the minds and image of a lot of people because it's so critical that we have mining, and we're sitting in this crux of a position in the world today where if we want this green, clean future, we need to really kind of show people and shine and bring a spotlight to attention that not only do we harness those materials that are needed to create this new future, but we do it in a fair and equitable and green kind of way. And hearing a story like that is wonderful. It shows that it takes companies like yourself and management teams like yourself to lead the charge to set that standard, even on the exploration side, so that when we're developing, the relationships already feel stronger.
The old sort of perceptions of mining have really largely moved out. And again, this is we're global citizens. The sector is held to sort of global standards. And when we go into any jurisdiction, we use the same methodology for and responsibilities in terms of environmental impact and that sort of thing. So our objective here at Precipitate is to go in and obviously to identify meaningful and extractable mineral deposits. But along the way, I think for us personally, there's a need to make sure that we improve the quality of lives of the people in these communities or nearby communities, create jobs, create a better outlook for future, the potential for, their next generations to be better educated and again, just improve that quality of life over time.
You've got two other projects that you're looking at as well. So you're proving up one, and the second one, actually, it's close to the Gold Quest project as well. So maybe you can tell us where you're at with those two other projects as well that you're developing.
Yeah, so when we did the deal with Barrick, which was announced back in April, we're not a project generator or a joint venture model type company, so that was a little bit off the beaten path for us to hand over that project to Barrick. We immediately wanted to look for, okay, what are we going to do next? What's Precipitate's next project to get active on? And our Ponton project, which is only about 25 kilometers to the east of Barrick's Pueblo Viejo, is a project that we saw a very compelling gold geochemical target, a lot of gold in the soils in a target area that had never been drilled before. So to your point, over the course of the last several months since doing the deal with Barrick, we've done several phases of exploration and groundwork, from increased density of geochemical surveying, geophysical surveying with magnetics, ground magnetics, some 3D inversion of that magnetic data, which was quite compelling and useful. And we're now at a point where we've essentially brought that target, it's called the Cope Hill Zone within the project, to a drill stage. So that's something we hope to be drilling in the months, maybe weeks and months ahead, perhaps early in the new year. And as you touched on, our project next to Gold Quest Romero, this is a region of the country that's been sort of on hold or on ice for the last couple of years, while the market perception was, well, if Gold Quest can't get a permit, why do you want to keep spending money there? So we've kind of put that on ice, our Wanda Herrera project there, for the last couple of years. But as we talked about earlier, this change in politics and change in government is shining a more positive light on the potential for that Romero permit to be granted. We've sort of got three prongs here where, Barrick is spending a significant exploration commitment on our Pueblo Grande project. Ponton is at a drill stage and simply awaiting a receipt of permits to be able to engage a first phase of drilling there. And as I said, Wanda Herrera looking more and more encouraging as we get potentially closer to our neighbors getting a permit here in the months ahead. We're fairly well financed, a little under $2 million in the treasury, so more than enough money to commence and complete the phase of drilling that we have planned for Ponton. And perhaps even a follow-up if required, but certainly more than enough money for that. All our projects are owned 100%. So there's no underlying option payments that we've got to pay out to property vendors. We don't have any work commitment obligations where we've got to spend X number of dollars by, this year or that year. So our money's discretionary.
There'll be news coming out the new year fairly quickly, not only from the joint venture there with Barrick with their results, but hopefully you'll be hitting those targets too on Ponton as well in the first quarter.
Hopefully we're drilling on a couple of fronts here in January, and as you say, lots of news to kind of come on the back of that.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for catching up with us, and it was a pleasure talking to you again, Jeff.
My pleasure. Thanks, Andrew.